I'm going to go back real quick to that prior slide just because I want to pick up some numbers off the balance sheet. We've aggregated a tremendous amount of assets. You know, when Digital Domain was restructured and sort of all of that was over, you know, we were actually awarded 100% of the technology in the Florida animation studio, and a lot of that stuff was developmental and new and really valuable to us. That was contributed to this company at startup. We acquired the technology portfolio of Pulse Evolution, known to have brought you some of the most amazing, you know, digital human experiences. And we also acquired another business called FaceBank AG and Nextway in Europe. That's all been appraised, written up to the balance sheet. That leaves us 373 million in assets, shareholder equity of 234 million. And you can see our cash position at the end of the third quarter was $6 million. At the end of this past year, slightly higher. And I can tell you our cash position has been moving up. It's now currently over 6 million euros. And we're going to have to report that along with our guidance in our 8K as well, which will follow this call. Excuse me, let me catch up back to where we were. Top level goals we discussed. Let me get to really the heart of the matter. We talked a lot about the digital human industry. What is it? I mean, what's a digital human? It's a computer generated character at any sort of place in the spectrum of realism, built to replicate the mechanical and behavioral personality traits of a human being. Now, it could be a cartoon with sophisticated facial rigging. It could be a character, as you see in Avatar, Tron Legacy, the younger Jeff Bridges, one of the projects at Digital Domain. Of course, the very famous Tupac hologram. So when you build a computer-generated character, it's not always going to be a hyper-realistic human. It can likely be a character in a video game. And the people that do this work, probably the most underpaid people in the world, have been largely coming out of the visual effects industry and are in the video game industry. And when I say underpaid, it's because, you know, they're competing with labor across the world in China and India and elsewhere. And it's very unfortunate that that visual effects industry really developed by a group of people that were also just focused on their own films. I mean, they developed the industry to make these incredible movies. The industry wasn't really set up to own intellectual property because the great directors and filmmakers that created this industry had their film companies, had that IP ownership, and it ultimately didn't get shared within the visual effects industry and the artists themselves. So, but that's where this work is done. That's where the best work has ever been produced, and we're going to show you some of that. Where have we seen these characters before? And I'm really just going to touch on some projects that, you know, we've been involved with personally prior to this company and some with this company. The first major project that really sort of, you know, captured the world's attention was The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It was the first time a digital human acted as a lead actor in a major feature film, in this case for 52 minutes before you saw Brad Pitt for the first time. Now, if any of you saw this film, directed by David Fincher, visual effects supervisor from Digital Domain, Eric Barba, a terrific animation lead, Steve Krieg, Janelle Croshaw on supervision, an incredible team of people, head replacement, that's a digital head on top of an actor body. And it was so compelling and so believable, it actually won the Academy Award for Best Makeup. It also won the Visual Effects Award for Eric and his team and Digital Domain for Best Visual Effects. Now, the process was very different back then. You know, the study of Brad's face, you know, the facial action coding system, which allowed us to take different expressions of Brad and combine those and teach sort of the rigging and the animation of the character to act like Brad Pitt. That cost $23 million for Digital Domain at that time, and it was not quite an automated process as you would need if you're really going to go into the digital human business. But this was, by many, the holy grail of animation, the Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and it set new standards in the industry that we're all still, you know, really aspiring to. The next sort of really interesting project that I think is relevant to some of the stuff we're going to talk about today is the Tupac hologram. You know, it was a much easier project. It was a team of about 20 folks at Digital Domain, and they didn't have hair replacement. They didn't have, it was head replacement. They didn't have, you know, hair simulation. They didn't have a lot of difficulty, you know, around the micro expressions in the mouth. There was a microphone in front of the wrapper. It was a project that came together relatively quickly. But what it did was sort of shock the world on the utility of digital humans. A couple 100 million people watched this on YouTube, and then suddenly everybody was asking, well, when are we going to see Elvis Presley? When are we going to see Bob Marley? Now, we at FaceBank are not big fans of the late celebrity hologram space that we and our friends at Digital Domain and others sort of accidentally invented. We do think that this really sends a message on what digital likeness can be for celebrities creatively and commercially, and also what it can ultimately do for consumers. Now, our first project within our consolidated companies was virtual Michael Jackson. And bringing him, that's actually Mark Cuban in the front row. If you can see some of the people there, I know your video is going to be skipping a bit, but please go to our website at facebankgroup.com and you can see much better quality videos of some of these past projects. So this is Michael Jackson coming out in front of a live audience as a digital human, singing a song that nobody's ever heard before. And this was done in partnership with the Jackson estate in promotion of a new album. It's very artificial at the outset of this performance. Characters are coming out of a screen, one by one, coming out of a painting rather, coming to life. And then we're having this brief kind of experience with Michael Jackson several years after his passing, and in partnership with the Jackson estate. We really believe this was an incredible way to reintroduce some of his music to the market. It obviously did incredible as a marketing effort to help launch the Escape Atom, which opened very well as a result of this and other promotions. So again, we're really talking about the hologram music space, which we're happy to have helped contribute to, but is really not the business model that we're looking at today. So where are digital humans going to be today and tomorrow? Well, they're increasingly present in entertainment. Digital humans are characters in video games, but you're seeing them in some really interesting places. Look in the upper right portion of the screen. This is a simple AR app where you're going to scan your face into an app, and if you're a Wolverines fan, suddenly your face can be painted up in yellow and blue, and you can send a message to your friends or just a photo and get ready for the big game day. There's some more sophisticated work where people are taking human likeness and inserting it in kind of really high end, beautiful artwork. You can see what you look like as a futuristic android or a superhero. You can age yourself, as people did in the Face app. Your face is being used to unlock your phones, to create playful, character emojis. Look at this woman with the pink hair down in the lower portion of that graphic. She's actually a virtual influencer, I guess, with probably about 140,000 followers on Instagram, and she's fake. She's not real. She's a digital human, and she gets your kids excited about what clothing to wear and what fashions are in. And so there's so much that we can do. Just, sit back for a moment, regardless of your age. Just let's admit it. We're in the selfie culture. We'll do anything with our faces. We'll put dog noses and ears on them, and now we can do a lot more with them. But we got to think about this. Our faces are assets. We need to protect them while we have fun with them. The proprietary technology of our company, I'm going to hit this relatively quickly. A lot of this is discussed on our website. This gives you just a quick kind of a glimpse on all that goes into the building of a digital human. It's not sort of a topical art experience like, you would think, where somebody's sort of painting on a frame by frame basis, kind of all these images. You have to build a computer-generated human that goes way beneath the surface of the skin. Facial rigging systems with thousands of moving parts, meniscus fluid in the eye, the lacrimal, caruncle, the tear duct, making sure that the eyes are sort of focused and pointing to an object. These are all the things that you think wouldn't necessarily be that noticeable to the average user. But there's this thing called the uncanny valley that everybody in our industry knows about. If you don't get it all right, if you don't have the detail, if the eyes aren't dilating in the sunlight, you're gonna have this very weird reaction, this feeling that you're looking at this creepy digital character. So, the industry, has been upping the standard in digital humans for a good long time now to make your interaction with digital humans, very comfortable so that they can seamlessly pass into entertainment properties and artificial intelligence applications and some of the fun stuff that's in the future. And that's, we're going to go a little fast across some of these slides because I don't want to go too long on time, but just in short, if it costs $23 million to build the digital human and the surrounding visual effects for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, we've now built tools to make it much, much easier to position the facial, poses of characters much more quickly. Notice as the jaw moves, the latissimus tendon and everything going on in the neck and the shoulders is moving along with it. So a lot of this work with our company, $40 million over time invested in technology, has made this a much more scalable and efficient process. And this is another example of one of the tools in real time and the way that artists are able to really numerically indicate things like eye position and jaw position, and based on some of the initial actions that you take to create the acting performance of a character, that determines how that face can move beyond those sort of initial movements. You can puff your cheeks when your mouth is shut, but you can't puff your cheeks when your mouth is open. And the facial rigging system that we've built and that is happening in studios all over the place, it really has to anticipate all that.